Hello, everybody. This is Caleb here with your Zoomy Cathies. I'd like to start by addressing the last episode, and I want to give an entire big ass apology to the community. When we started the Zoomy Cathies, we we set out to never cover anything that's relevant to our times immediately. And I'm sorry this was too much. This was too cutting edge, and we've decided to take a step back and talk about the things that you came here to talk about, which are obscure animations and drawings. And with that being said, here's Colette with your trigger warning, the manhwa.
Come on, you guys, go! Let's do it! Come on and do.
So hey guys, how y'all doing?
Doing good. So, as Caleb said, it's a Colette episode, which we're going to talk about some weeb shit.
What is this, a crossover episode?
What is this, a bottle episode? Because I wanted to hit the bottle after reading that thing. What did you have me read? Oh man, that was intense.
So, today we are going to talk about some boys love and some yaoi manga and manhwa. Specifically, we're going to cover some killing stalking, some super lovers, some gender romantica, and then after we slog through the emotional torment of those three, we're going to talk about some that don't feel like burning your eyes out with bleach.
So I gotta say,
Buckle up, Fujoshis.
I've never read
This one's for you.
I've never read any manga before until this, or manhwa, or any iteration that ends with ah. And I went into this totally blind, and I woke up, and then 8 a.m. just started reading, and wow, what a thing to start your day with.
I am so sorry to bring you into this world this way. What a way to start. What a way to start.
Yeah, it'd be like if you're like a kid and your first movie ever was like Gaspar Noé's Irreversible or 120 Days of Sodom.
Oh.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I mean, he's not wrong, though. So, what can you do?
So, Colette, you have...
Hey, Billy, it's your 6th birthday. Let's watch Ichi the Killer.
Isn't it interesting, Billy, how they did that title sequence? It's his cum, Billy. It's his cum.
It's great. We're going to watch Audition next.
Oh,
same
God.
director.
Yeah, see with your eyes. Bad phrasing. So, Colette, you're going to go into the genre as a whole to start us off, right? Kind of get people into...
As a self-proclaimed Wicked Witch of BL, a Fujoshi queen, I am here to say that the genre has some seriously problematic aspects to it. So,
we're gonna
kind of tackle the history of this and see how things got started and see what some of these recurring tropes are, and then kind of examine them in popular works like Killing Stalking, Gender Romantica, and Super Lovers. So to start, originally boys love was a genre that was created to pander towards straight women, and it was something that was very, very heavily fetishized. It was not meant to be consumed by the LGBT community. It was strictly meant to be profitable and appeal to straight women's kind of sense of taboo. Like, it was something different, and it was something that, broke away from the norm of the stereotypical shoujo romance manga. However, as the genre became more profitable, I regret to say that, homosexuality in the LGBT community as a whole still isn't super widely accepted or super popular over in the Asian half of the world. It at least became a lot more profitable. And now that it's profitable, we've seen kind of like an upsurge of these works, and it's definitely become a lot more accessible to the LGBT community at large. And it's sort of started to break away from some of the really, really harmful negative tropes that are present in the series. It's kind of like an overarching, like, this is a common theme. This is a common theme. You're definitely going to see this. You're definitely going to see that. That's kind of started to die. But even in modern works, you still kind of see some of these horribly problematic things. The biggest of which, and which is quite frankly the one that's the most difficult for me to kind of like give a pass to. It's like a big movie faux pas for me. Except, the Fujoshi version is the very stereotypical in the genre, let me molest and sexually assault you until you love me trope.
Yeah,
Which
Wedding
is,
Crashers is very guilty of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a
Holy-
lot. There's a lot of it. I think it's just way more pronounced in BL or yaoi
I mean,
than it is in Western works, but it still exists in Western works.
I think 50 Shades
as well.
of Grey is probably the most prominent example of that, from my understanding.
Oh.
That's not even kink. That makes me
It's
so
not-
mad. We have
it's
to
not
do
even
another episode
kink.
about that.
Yeah,
We
circle
don't.
back
We
around
don't
to-
though. We don't. I don't think that needs to be talked about ever again. We should just all forget that happened. We should all have the Men in Black brain zapper thing.
Yeah, I would love to forget that existed. What a horrible, horrible portrayal of a BDSM relationship or kink in general. God, making us all fucking look bad.
Yeah.
It's I don't have words for it, but yeah, I think BL and yaoi has like the most extreme, overpronounced. Let me assault you until you're like, oh, kissing's not so bad. That I've seen. I think
exactly.
it's even worse than it is in porn. I think it's better in porn than it is in BL.
Oof.
To be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, at least in porn, it's like, are they sweating? Are they crying? A lot of the was just like, oh no, they're definitely sobbing hysterically. This is making me uncomfortable.
Like they're not happy, but in porn you're like, it's porn.
They're acting? Question mark.
They're acting, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That's a better way to put it.
But yeah, no,
Still
it's
waiting
like-
on that Pornhub sponsorship. So
Yeah.
Pornhub.
Hey,
Come
yo,
on, Pornhub,
Hit
sponsor
us up.
us.
Hit us up, Pornhub. We're waiting. I can talk about some hentai for you guys. We can get a little more mainstream.
No, it's a serious issue. It's a serious issue, and it kind of like puts forth this stereotype that in LGBT relationships there needs to be this like aggressor. There needs to be somebody who's like, I've been stalking you for 15 years ever since you held my hand on the playground in kindergarten, and I've watched your every single move, and now that I finally got you alone in the locker room and it's after school hours and nobody can stop me, I'm going to tie you up and I'm going to do whatever I want. And even though you're going to cry, I'm going to say something horrible and cliche like, but your body's reacting to this, isn't it?
They always say that.
They always say it.
They always say it.
Every
That
single time.
okay. Challenge: find a hentai or a BL or a yaoi where something to that effect is not said. I like 9 and 10. That almost exact line is always brought up, and I have done more than enough research to know that that is true.
Actually, and we can cut this out if it's just a total whiff ball of a question, but I'm actually really curious, Colette, if you've seen this. Are you familiar with Call Me By Your Name?
I sort of saw it, but I'm really careful about watching things that are sad, so I was like, I already know that this isn't gonna have a happy ending.
I was gonna ask, with like the crazy age difference, do you think that's an offshoot at all, or is Call Me By Your... I haven't seen it, but I know that it's like an adult with like someone who's like 17, something like that.
I mean, that's also kind of a really stereotypical kind of reoccurring theme, but and this is going to sound like absolutely batshit, but it's honestly legitimately one of the least problematic parts of yaoi and PL.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Unless it's like
Like-
an extreme age difference, it's like
Yeah. In which case,
there's a
it's
very
normally-
common.
And normally when it's like an extreme age difference type of role, that's like typically kind of the centerpiece of the story.
But
Right.
Like,
there are
it's meant
plenty
to
of
be.
like, yeah, but there are plenty of like Knives Chow and Scott Pilgrim relationship in yaoi,
Oh,
where
yeah.
one's in high school and
Oh,
one's
yeah.
an adult. But at least Scott Pilgrim was like, "Hey, that's fucking weird," and Scott was like, "Okay, I guess you're right." Like,
Yeah.
at least that established in yaoi, it's like, "Oh, cool, they're
And
they're in
most
high
of these-
school now."
And most of these, they're just like not self-aware that it's like not okay. It's just like, oh, I know that I'm your teacher and that you are a freshman, but I cannot stop this feeling. Ooh.
I've tutored you one time, and your handwriting is so seductive. Oop.
Ooh.
Emphasis on the ooh.
Yeah. It's just-
Super prevalent to an uncomfortable amount. And you know, kind of jumping off of the diving point of talking about, you know, there being this like aggressor of a top, we'll say, because you know, if we're going just purely based on stereotypes in the genre, yes, the seme are the top. Seme is normally like crazy, crazy, crazy aggressive. And you know, I've seen a few works that kind of like poke a hole through this logic. There's one work in particular that I have not been able to find the name of. I read it like maybe 10 years ago, and I have been legitimately searching for it since then because it is the only series that I have ever read that like had all of the common tropes of a yaoi manga, but then like actually explored what it would be like mentally for normal people to go through these events, and it was cripplingly depressing to read. And I was like, oh my god, this is fantastic. I need to make everybody I know read it. But I can't find it.
So could you run us through like what you think the biggest tropes that these things always hit are?
Okay, so we always end up with a super unwilling and regretful Uki. 99% of the time, I'd say. We end up with the bottom. So, and it's always another really unhealthy trope in it is the idea that you can like change someone's sexuality, quote unquote, which is normally where like the whole like, oh, I'm gonna sexually assault you until you love me thing kind of comes in play, where it's like the seme takes some type of interest in the uke and then like kind of literally forces them into a relationship by like repeatedly assaulting them until they're finally just like, well, I guess it wasn't all so bad this whole time, huh? Yeah, no, this is fine. I love this. This is okay. Yeah, no, we're so in love. And young LGBT people of the world, don't chase after straight people. It's not healthy. Leads to heartbreak. Not a good look.
Not a good
Another
look.
another really. Hmm.
I was just laughing. Not a good look.
Oh yeah, no, never a good look. Never a good look. Don't harass straight people into being in a relationship with you. It's a great way to like lose friends and James Charles yourself.
That's absolutely made it to
Ooh.
Western culture. Like I remember this is a obscure reference, but the first episode of Drawn Together absolutely used that trope, and I remember seeing that
my
when I
God.
was like 14.
Another really, really problematic trope is like the women are terrible trope in Boys Love and Yaoi.
Oh yeah.
Women don't
Oh, I
really get to
forgot about that.
exist. Yeah, that's the one people never talk about. But if it's not like the older sister or the really hip, cool, young looking mom, the women that they write,
Or the best friend.
Yeah, or
or
the
like
best
there's
friend.
a friend. It's only one.
yeah,
it's
only
only
one. Only one, and she's like super understanding and demure and doesn't normally, I mean, I can't even say normally, does not have her own plot or any type of plot bearing. She is
She's
there.
like, listen to your feelings. And then they're like,
Exactly.
cool, thanks for being in the plot. Bye.
Exactly, no, exactly. Or she's like a crazy jealous bitch that's like, you know, Keitara's always going to be mine. I've been friends with him forever. You don't deserve him.
Wait, like what's her face in Killing Stalking? Who
Yeah.
gets super murdered.
1000%. So, you know, now that we've kind of talked about some of the negative tropes of this, let's talk about some killing stalking. Let's talk about some killing stalking.
Yeah, let's get into Killing Stalking. Oof.
So,
How do we
so I want to start.
So Bum is having a bad day.
Bum has a rough day. And
So,
Madeline, you made a
synopsis
joke
of the entire
earlier, right?
plot. Synopsis
Oh,
of
yeah.
the whole plot. Yeah, no, Bum has a really fucking bad time.
It's like Berserk, but even worse. Like Guts has a bad day, Bum has a really bad day. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, they should rename
So-
it Bum and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
So I'm gonna try and keep this as like light on spoilers as possible, but like be warned, from here on out, we are going to talk about some serious
Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning.
Yeah, trigger.
For everything.
Like,
For literally everything.
Everything.
Rape,
Like
child molestation, a family abuse, murder,
Horrific violence.
torture, gore, body horror.
I got only 11 chapters in, and at the point where the main kidnapper made two guys play a card game for their lives that he had both presumably was going to rape also both of them, I went, I'm going to make breakfast, and then I didn't go back to it.
Also, I will say, additionally, if none of the trigger warnings have deterred you like it didn't for me, also, spoiler warning, just in case, because, some of the stuff I think we have to talk about is going to delve into spoilers, but then again, if you're like, I'm interested, but I don't want to read it, this is the podcast for you.
This is the podcast for you.
If you've ever been like, oh, I see everybody on Twitter talking about this killing stuff. I mean, at least maybe, a year ago, it's been over for a hot minute, but
it's our bread and butter.
Yeah, bread and butter, fucking butter for this podcast.
Bread and butter, bread and bum. Except the bread is sang-woo and the butter is abused.
The bread is sang-woo, and it has a lot of knives and personalized, internalized trauma.
And a hammer.
So to kind of set up the plot for this for people that have absolutely no idea what the hell we're talking about, Killing Stalking is about a boy named Bum who, oh god, yeah, no, we're just gonna unpack all of his shit all at once here up front so we can understand why this guy is so fucking out of his gourd and obsessed with the other main character saying Woo. Bum was repeatedly molested by his uncle growing up following the death of his parents, where he was forced to live with his uncle and his grandmother. He is repeatedly bullied for being scrawny and kind of creepy and gloomy as a kid. And at one point, actually, I think it's at two separate points in his life, actually, Sang-woo kind of steps up and is like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking defend you little creepazoid.
And Sang-woo saves him from getting raped in the military.
He was going to already repeat his cycle of abuse and get fucking McRaped in the army because
in the Mick army
because in Mick South Korea there is mandatory military service for men. So during his mandatory service,
a market for BL. So when the market provides,
huge market for BL. Shout out to Legion. I'm so sorry for talking about one of your award-winning works, but also it's horrible and problematic. Anyway,
we know what you tried to do, and we're sorry.
Killing Stalking 1000%, and I will take this to my grave. Author Kugi, by the way, find them on Twitter. Definitely 1000%, in my opinion, started as a satire of the genre, and kind of lost its focus when it blew up in popularity.
It's like Glee in only that way.
Well, it's also kind of, and I talked to Colette a little bit about this offline because it just kind of came up, but it's the same kind of thing that happened with I think Kill la Kill. More so than Kill la Kill, because Kill la Kill I love. I stole that joke from Demolition D, so if he's listening, hi Demo, I love you. But
check out my Twitter, Demo.
But Kill la Kill, I'll have to show y'all his stuff at some point. But Trigger basically created the show, Kill la Kill, and people were like, oh, it's going to save anime because it's going to be a satire. And it started out 100% that way. But then in a kind of really good way, it took its own satire too seriously to where it became the thing it was poking fun at. But just because the baseline was so good for what it was, it still ended up being tight at the end. You were like, oh cool, I'm still glad I watched that. But you watched it be like, haha, I'm taking the piss, to I am the piss. And that's cool if it's a good story that's not taking on themes of abuse and really serious topics.
And then we get Killing Stalking, which goes from being the patron saint of hey, this genre is super problematic, here the fuck is why, we're gonna make fun of it, essentially, to I am the problem and nobody understood what I was about, so
fuck it, we're going with it.
We're just running with it.
I read isn't there a lot of people who like there's like a broken base between people who like obviously understand that Sang-woo's like a piece of shit and should be like in jail, but then other people who are like, oh, I want it to end with him like getting therapy and like having a happy relationship with Bum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, a lot of people were just like, oh, my murder babies, they're so in love, everything's gonna be fine, and I'm gonna let everybody know right now that everybody gets the ending that they deserve, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Everyone, everyone does get. Look, you feel bad for Bum.
You
throughout
really
the whole
do.
thing.
You can't
Like,
not.
Bum,
If you don't feel
Bum
bad
only-
for
even
Bum, you're a
Bum's good days are
sociopath.
bad days. But
You know,
also,
but-
Bum is like a stalker to begin with, which they totally forget about.
Yeah, no, people tend to forget, and that's what I was getting ready to launch into, because of the 2 times that Sang-woo saves Bum, Bum becomes a literal stalker. I mean, like, 1000% stalker.
That's how
Yeah, I
the
mean, he
story
goes
starts.
into his hell.
Yeah, he breaks into Sang-woo's house and hears something coming from the basement and goes and checks it out and finds a woman who's had her head shaved and her legs broken, chained to a pipe, begging for him to set her free. And Bum is not smart and is like, what? What are you doing in Sang-woo's house?
Tessa, what are you doing in Sang-woo's house?
I always hate
So-
that fucking trope in anything when it's like, wait, what's happening? You're bound and gagged. What should I do? What could the next possible step I take be? It's like, I wonder what you
Yeah,
could
no, I
possibly...
would have needed to see exactly 0.5 seconds of that to be like, ooh, what in the caucasity? Let me get the fuck out this house.
Right.
You almost made me spit out my wine
Oh,
on
God.
this dirty carpet,
Please do
and
not.
I'm in the
Please do not.
basement, so Sang-woo's about to come and break my leg.
That's exactly what happens. Sang-woo comes home and breaks Bum's legs and then is like, why the fuck shouldn't I kill you? And then Bum's just like, ooh, I love you. And then starts the most horrible romantic adventure you will ever fucking consume.
So Sang-woo...
So I want to talk
Sang-woo-
about a scene, though. I
was-
really do.
I was gonna say we should finish
unless
the
Caleb has a
synopsis.
question.
We should finish the synopsis first for people who haven't read it.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Flipping to Sang-woo's side, Sang-woo is a deeply, deeply disturbed man. He is a talented singer, he's very conventionally attractive, and he's loved and charismatic, but for some reason neither one of his parents are around, and it isn't explained until much later. Major spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, skip ahead like 2-3 minutes, 2-3 minutes-ish. Sang-woo's mother was sexually abusing him as a child, and because of just like her unhinged psychosis and the way
After she
that
murdered his dad
after she murders his father, yes,
in front of him,
and then eventually kills herself in front of him,
So
and
handsome.
also has him help her dispose of the body.
and then continues to rape him, So, yeah. So here we are at spoiler-free land again. Sang-woo has some serious issues. You want to talk about an Oedipus complex? Holy shit.
Oh my god.
Sang-woo has a definite mommy kink, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Please
it's
read this and suffer for yourself.
or don't. If any of this is like I'll vomit, don't read it. It's not worth your vom.
Yeah. If you want to be kept up at night, definitely read this so you can lay in bed and think, fuck. But, yeah, so, the general premise is just that, at this point, Bum becomes the new captive of Sang-woo. Sang-woo, kind of flips back and forth between, oh, I love you, and we're gonna be great, and this is gonna be perfect, to, you lying, cheating slut, I saw you, look out the window, I bet you're trying to escape, I'm gonna fucking cut your face open. Literally is a plot point that happens.
He keeps threatening the neck
Oh
knife.
man, yeah, a really hard scene to read where Bum tries to make a great escape and then Sang-woo holds him down with his still broken legs. He spends a majority of the story crawling around on all fours, doing
Or on
for
crutches
Sang-woo.
when
Or
he
on
gets to go
crutches.
outside.
Yeah, for closer to the end of things when he's allowed to venture outside. But the first time he tries to break out,
Things might be pretty bad, but they do have a fun day at the amusement park. That's all I say.
How can I
Ugh.
forget the one fun day at the amusement park. It totally makes
The
up
beach
for...
episode.
The
arc
beach
for all
episode. I was
intents
about
and
to.
purposes.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, no, it is fully like the fan servicey, like, hey, look, no, they're at the amusement park together and they took photos. Yeah, they're on a date. They took photos together. Look at how in love they are.
Bought
Everything's
him a
okay.
frog. Everything is fine.
They took a picture together. Don't worry about why Sang-woo was ominously staring at that single mother with her child. We're not gonna go into that. There was no issues there. But yeah, no, they're so in love. They're so in love. They totally didn't kill one of their classmates together. What are you talking about?
And you're saying this, but there
I
are
almost
probably
said
people who
OPT.
there are probably people who like unironically, I assume, like think that and have said that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Major following of this series of people that are like, no, this was totally fine. They are so in love. This is okay.
Fuck.
And it's
Lots of fan art.
As a
Lots
person
of
who's
fan art.
and see, I have a
Lots
weird
of fan art.
perspective because as a person who's only read to chapter 11, I'm like, how the fuck could anyone think that about this? Like, it's so horrifying so far.
I think people really glorify Sang-woo's hot cold attitude. I think it really speaks to like an individual's desire for like that challenge in the chase. You know, like, oh,
I
He's
want to
such a
fix
hot-
him.
Yeah,
he can be
I wanna-
fixed with love.
I want to fix him. He can be fixed with love. If I just hang in there, things are going to be okay. Kids, don't do that. And I know that I'm saying kids, like our general demographic isn't in their mid to late 20s, but other people, don't do that.
Even if you're in your 40s and above, stop it.
Yeah, you can't fix him. He's a murderer. He kills people. He's a serial fucking killer. He's gonna break your legs and chain you up in the basement.
He is
And then-
He's gonna
literally
take it to a kitchen chair.
he is a worse person than Louis C.K. Like, that should be made clear.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
by
Louis C.K. also
there.
isn't a serial killer.
Well, as far
He's
as
a
we know,
rapist.
parody.
So, killing stalking, it definitely kind of starts by turning the trope on its head of the like, I'm going to assault you until you love me, because it's the opposite, where it's please assault me, ooh, I want you to love me, and it just keeps getting darker and darker and darker, and it's not really meant to be consumed as a good romance. I can't even say healthy. It's definitely not meant to be consumed as a healthy romance, but it's really not meant to be consumed as a romance. It is a story of Stockholm Syndrome and rape. And somehow it really loses focus close to the end of its first season. If people don't read webtoons, they typically run in seasons. So, kind of like one story arc is a season and then it ends, and individual releases are chapters.
It
was-
does
I think-
kind of end in an oddly poignant way. I'm not saying that it absolves the work in general, but the ending is like very like, oh, what, like very liberal arts student, let me look at all this stuff that's going on.
There's always a moment, I think, when a show kind of breaks its own premise. Like the classic example I always use is that in The Office, there's an episode where Michael Scott is following a GPS, and it takes him, it's like, go into the water, and he drives straight into the water, and like from that moment on, that's the moment when The Office changed from like a realistic show about people being depressed at their job to like a cartoon. Do you think there's a specific moment you can pinpoint in Killing Stalking where it went from parody to the like embodiment of what it's supposed to be, and what is that moment?
I 1000% can pin it down to a moment, and it's at the
Ooh.
exact moment that Sang-woo makes the flip between being this like impossibly to track, emotionally unstable psychopath to suddenly he's starting to be portrayed as like this sympathetic, oh god, he was just mistreated, he just needs love and he's so in love with Bum. That was the point that the series was ruined, in my opinion. Because when you take out the inhuman element of Sang-woo, when you take out the element of like, no, this is a legitimately mentally disturbed man who is murdering people who vaguely remind him of his mother or just women in general, it broke the premise.
I think, honestly, there's a moment before that for me went from like, oh, it's a parody to like, oh no, it's buying into this whole Stockholm Syndrome thing. Like, this is like there are stakes. And this is a scene I wanted to talk about before. Not that I'm trying to shoehorn it into like this question, but I think it's just like really pivotal point. Basically, Bum has earned a bunch of privileges. Like, he's not locked in the basement all the time now. And Sang-woo says, oh, I'm going to be back at 7. I'll leave you in the kitchen, though. Your legs are still broken, but you can sit in the kitchen and, like, whatever. Don't leave because you're my hostage, but I'll be back at 7. Bum's like, okay. And then for like the next hour and a half, it's just Bum's monologue of like, oh my God, do I go outside? I can go outside. Should I go outside? I don't know. And he opens the door and Sang-woo is sitting on the porch.
That was one of my favorite moments.
He was going to try to accept. Yeah, it was earlier, but it was the moment because then Sang-woo comes back inside and like a part of your brain, the, you know, like caveman part of your brain is like, oh no, they're fighting after they made progress. But then like the more evolved part of your brain is like, fuck.
Right.
Like,
well, there wasn't much
Bum's
progress to
gonna
be made. This is a rapist and a serial killer who has you captive.
Who was
Exactly.
waiting for you to break the rules.
Right.
But it's played
Yeah,
for
he-
drama.
Exactly, and it's like it's kind of coded as like this saying fucking boom bum broke his trust.
Right.
Boom bum Sang-woo.
Boom! Bum broke his trust. That's the sentence, right? There.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Bum breaks his trust, and that's like what the big like center point of that is. It's like, oh my God, how could you break his trust like this?
You know?
Which is
After
fucking
you've come so
insane.
far.
It's like, that man is holding you captive. There's no trust. Like,
Yeah, there is no trust to be had here. There is no. He cut your fucking neck open with a knife and broke your legs and chained you to a pipe and forced you into his dead mother's clothes and made you do housework. You don't owe him shit.
Also, like, this is like, I don't know where else to fit this organically in, but it's always something that bothers me. Why'd they have to make the good guy the most unlikable guy ever? Like, there's a cop who's a good guy, and he's doing the right thing.
well,
But
he's a
you don't
cop, so
like
he's a
him.
fucking pig.
You don't, because he's coded as being the one that's going to break up their happy little romance.
Yeah, and it's like, I know you're doing, I had to tell myself while I was reading it, and I'm like, wow, I really don't like him. But he is doing the right thing. Right? Like, what the fuck is going on? Where I don't like this cop who's like he's in the house and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna catch them. But I'm like, good. He should catch them.
But I mean,
Please, God.
media
And, you
does
know-
that shit all the time, though. I mean, like, it's like when you're watching BoJack and you find yourself like, you emotionally invest in the characters you spend the most time with, and even if the character's evil, you automatically kind of code the people that are opposing the protagonists of the show as the bad guys, because, like, you know, I always choose Breaking Bad as the example. It's like people were like, oh, why does everyone hate the wife? It's like, because if the wife gets her way, the show stops. Like, if the wife found out in season 1 that he's selling meth, like, the show would end, and then we wouldn't have it. Like,
I mean, honestly, I fully would have welcomed that series just if Killing Stalking just got cut off because it was just like, cops caught him, the end. I would have been thankful.
Yeah, I did. Oh God, I want to talk about the girl character for at least half a second.
Yeah,
I forget
yeah,
what her
yeah.
name is.
go for
Okay.
it.
Okay, let's talk about her really quick, and then I definitely want to move on to like some of the other works we wanted to talk about. Super fucking lovers, Super Lovers, and Gender Romantica are gonna get their own section rolled up together, and then I actually want to talk about some good works.
So this woman character is like, for a chapter or however many episodes of this webtoon, there is a straight up shoujo happening where this girl who knows Sang-woo from school and they do a talent show together and it's very High School Musical, and she's like, oh my God, I'm really into Sang-woo, and they make her like make fun of Bum because he like goes out with them. So you're like, oh, fuck her. She sucks because she made fun of our poor cripple boy with Stockholm Syndrome. And then Sang-woo is like, hey, sneak out after he takes Bum home. And then he, trigger warnings, again, because this is fucking terrible, makes Bum watch from a closet while they have sex, and then like opens the closet to reveal like Bum's been watching the whole time as like a gotcha to her for bullying him, and then she gets murdered brutally. So it's like and like that kind of drew me back in a little bit because it was like commenting on BL and Yaoi of like female characters are terrible, and it's like, imagine if one of the protagonists fucking murdered one of them after coaxing them into, and it was just like the most extreme weird bullshit for a second where I was kind of like brought back in like, oh yeah, Sang-woo's a fucking psychopath and Bum needs help and this girl is dead. So I think that was one of the parts that was like satire kind of done well.
Especially because, like, 1000%, she did not deserve anything that happened to her. Like, let's be completely transparent here. Bum is a creepy character. He's not some, like, ooh, soft bottom boy. He is, like, an also deeply mentally disturbed, like, fuck up who does not deserve our sympathies. I'm not gonna lie.
Bum is like a ghostly looking boy who says nothing, and only when he opens his mouth it's like, oh, Sang-woo. Like, he's fucking weird. He's
Yeah.
weird. And if you were hanging out in a group of your friends where Sang-woo is at least charming, I mean, look, serial killers are charming. I'm not saying anything revolutionary there. But if you were in a group and someone said something weird about the weird kid who you just met when, you're trying to tap the hot guy, okay, maybe not the best social move, but you do not deserve to be murdered for it.
Yeah, and they definitely try and code it as her deserving it.
Which was like, it was like satire, but it wasn't. And like, I was into it because I was like, wow, Sang-woo's a terrible person. I liked feeling that.
Yeah, it definitely, like, reminds you that he's the worst. You're just like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, this is about murderers and stalkers.
Yeah. Oh, right. Killing, stalking.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's why it's called that. Oh.
Yeah. It's almost like it's about, the killers and stalker.
That makes sense. When you put it like that, wow, that really blows the whole thing wide open.
So yeah, no, those are our not so hot lukewarm takes on the killing stalking.
What other like pieces kind of embody these tropes, and are there any good versions of those?
Yes. So actually, before we launch into the other two bad ones, and I'm gonna redouble my hunt for this series that's actually like a good one. I might have to like go to the dredges of the internet and some forum boards and chat rooms and stuff to figure out which one this one is. But it explores really similar tropes where there's this like really muscular, aggressive, sexy seme and this cute little uke boy, and oh my goodness, they're so in love and everything. No, I mean, no, they're not in love actually. Seme guy ends up raping Uki boy because he loses control of his strength, which seems to be a recurring trope. But this one, instead of it being like, and then they fell in love and lived happily ever after, no, the Uki develops PTSD related to sexual trauma, and the seme feels so horrible for everything that he's done that he, like, breaks himself mentally and doesn't know how to make amends, and nothing's okay. Like, nothing's fine.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, oh my god, wait, what? There was serious repercussions to these actions? Holy shit!
That's awesome.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Oh no, there was no forgiveness. There's like a really dramatic scene where like his grandmother had given him these like prayer beads and was like, wear these and I hope they remind you to control your strength and blah 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 blah. And he has this like dramatic scene where he's like, I don't deserve this. I couldn't control myself. I'm nothing better than a beast, and like rips his grandmother's prayer beads off and they scatter everywhere. And like the Uki is in like this horrible abusive relationship with his manager at work because he thinks that this is normal now, and it goes like real dark real fast. But I was like, oh my god, there was actual repercussions to their actions for once. This wasn't just like, and then everything was okay.
And it's interesting, though, I think more so, not saying that, the journey of PTSD and, like, figuring out what is actually normal and healthy coming out of an abusive situation isn't interesting, but seeing the abuser feel remorse, like legitimate, actual, not, oh, I'm sorry for hitting you one time remorse, but like legit,
Actual, I'm a monster.
Yeah, like that's very interesting, and I think gives like this really, I haven't read it, but it sounds like it gives this really good side of like, even these monsters can't, not all the time, but can be people who just like, learn and, maybe they get better, maybe they don't. But at least there's an attempt at some point. Like, I think that kind of, like, rehabilitation mindset is interesting and good to see.
Restorative justice.
Because it doesn't give them an easy way out, but it also doesn't condemn every person.
And, I really just appreciated it for not, doing the easy way out.
Yeah,
Because
I think that's what's important.
It gets so tiring to be like, oh, great, another serial rapist gets to have the romance of their life.
Yeah. They just had to Rub their nipples enough, and now they're in love.
Yep, because that's how that one. That's how that works for some reason.
A lot
But,
of nipple play in BL.
Lot of nipple play.
Lot of
A lot of nipple play.
An
Alarming
alarming
amount.
amount.
Not enough, if you ask
What's
me.
nipple play?
I can't answer that one. I really don't know. But two more series that I'm just gonna kind of gloss over the top of, and then actually want to talk about a few that are actually really good parts of the BL/yaoi genre. Super Lovers and Gender Romantica were two that were kind of like, I don't want to call them like trendsetters or flagships for the genre, but they were definitely two of the ones that had really good early commercial success and were actually made into an anime, which is
Very
Wait,
uncommon.
I'm sorry, what?
yes, they both have an anime.
Okay, hi. Real quick, I read one volume of Super Lovers after talking to Colette. It's fucking boring.
It's boring and awful.
It's awful, but also boring. There's something to be said, but awful, but also entertaining to a degree, which is kind of killing Stalkings.
Yeah, whereas Super Lovers is literally just like, oh, I have this adopted brother who is practically raised by wolves.
And
also half my age.
And yeah, and literally like a middle school student.
I want to put my
I'm
dick in
23 and he's 15, and guess what? We're in love.
Yep, and it is so uncomfortable to read. It's like, hey, incest and pedophilia is okay as long as you raise them.
Question mark.
That sounds like a
As long as you
nightmare.
spend a summer in Canada.
Yeah, you spend a summer in Canada together, you're absolved of all of your sins.
Was this written by Woody Allen?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That is a piping hot take.
Oh, as a Jew, I'm sorry.
Hey,
It's
you
just-
don't need
it's
to
so-
apologize. Like,
I just like, cause look, we grow up and it's like Woody Allen's great, and then like, you know, a few years after your bat mitzvah, it's like you read a Wikipedia article and you go, oh,
dude, you're telling me
Okay.
I broke up with my girlfriend in 8th grade by using quotes from Annie Hall on AIM. So you're telling me, dude. Like, I get it.
Oh God.
look, my AIM username.
I just
was
need the eggs, motherfucker. I just need the eggs.
So
I
I have My Chemical Romance quotes, my guy.
Well, you were more socially adapted than I was, and that is another podcast.
I wasn't, because I was dating a 20-year-old when I was 16. By the way, Super Lovers is bad. If you're 15 and dating a 23-year-old, stop.
Yeah, no. If a grown ass man is hitting on you and you're a minor, it's because they're so much of a loser that they can't get somebody in their own age
please
bracket.
don't.
Your parents
Yeah.
are right. Take it from me. You will
Yes.
not believe it, but your parents are right. And 2 years later, you will find out why.
Dude, your parents are
Exactly.
wrong about manga and weed, but they're right about a lot of things, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
They are right about a lot of things, and not dating adults when you're a minor is definitely one of them. The other kind of big problematic one is Gender Romantica also has its own anime. I'm literally just, I'm not even gonna fucking fully delve into that one. It's an author who like McRapes the shit out of his manager, question mark, and somehow they're in love, and it got, not only did it get an anime, but all of its spin-off series also got animes.
I'm sorry, what? There were spin-offs?
There's several spin-offs. There's like 3. It's Jojo Romantica, Sekaiichi Hatsukoi, and there's another one, and they're all just eye bleach.
Oh.
But,
I
you
thought
know,
the School Dice franchisement was bad, but like, Jesus Christ.
Do you think do you think it's getting better, or do you think the trope is the trope still hella prevalent like now?
So there's still aspects of it that you find in the more like smutty kind of solely erotica based aspects of the genre, but I will say that as a whole the genre has really grown as it's as you know homosexuality and just like the LGBT community as a whole is a little more widely accepted. I know on a previous episode I talked about Shimanami Tesogare, or I forgot the English name already. I'm so sorry. I never look at the English names for them.
The weebs can look it up.
The
Yeah, they'll
weebs
figure
can look
it
it
out.
up. If you're listening to this
Oh.
episode still, then you know the fucking not English versions.
Exactly. If you're still listening to this, you probably already read these things and you're sitting here nodding along, or you're like, huh, that was a hot take I didn't think of, and I'm glad that I brought this to your attention. But Shimaname Tasogari is very, very strictly about like the real side of what being in the LGBTQIA plus community is, and I think it handles a lot of the aspects of the community really well. I think it is very delicate in the way that it portrays same-sex relationships and people who may be trans and just everything to that effect. And, it was honestly very kind of beautiful to read. It restored my faith in the genre.
That was actually gonna be my next
Aw.
question. Is there like trans boy love stuff out there? Is that like a thing? Does that intersect?
Few and far between. There are a few really great trans stories.
The last one I
Wandering
read was
Sun.
Yes. There's a really good romance about a trans man. It's a fantastic read. I think that one was also done very carefully. Other good ones in the genre, Konbini-kun, absolutely delightful to read. It's just about a gay man and a straight man who work together in a convenience store and slowly fall in love with each other, and it's not horrible or cringy or weird or gross.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's really, really sweet. It's a slow burn. There's not a sex scene until the very, very last chapter, which was an extra. It was kind of like a, hey, thank you for reading. Here's some smut.
Hey, thanks for reading. Here's how you know who is canonically the top and the bottom.
God,
Oh, no,
I wish that's how
1000%
every
what happened
fucking
there.
art film ended. I wish I could watch like The Love Life of an Octopus or My Dinner with Andre, and they're like, "Hey, thanks for watching. Here's some tits." Like,
Yeah, no.
Here's some porn since you hung in there. But there definitely is some real gems out there, and I definitely think that if you kind of shy away from things that are... So when you're going through your tags and you're looking for things to read, if you kind of try and avoid things that are just labeled as just yaoi or yaoi smut, you will find the good parts of the genre.
and
However,
in the episode
You gotta
description,
go through the emotion before you get the cock.
in
That's
the
what we're
Exactly.
saying.
in the
those are
description,
the people that actually care.
we will have episodes, or we will have mangas and manhwas and a lot of recommendations from Colette. She will be linking you to great stuff that is, A+, not rapey shit.
Yes, I'm gonna introduce you to the beautiful side of this genre.
Also, there's Colette. I don't know if you like have Webtoon downloaded, but I started reading something called Cat. Well, have you read Castle Swimmer or High Class
yes,
Homos?
I have.
Because both of those are really cute and very wholesome, and there will never be smut for those, but they're all LGBT. And they're great. And High Class Homos has a princess with a prosthetic leg that she's bedazzled herself.
I loved High Class Homos. It was such a fantastic story, and
You should read both of them because they're ongoing and very cute, and they'll make you really happy.
High Class Homos,
Yes,
that just sounds
so-
like a knockoff of Frasier. Heyo.
It's like, oh god, look, both of them are cute. Go read them. They're in English. They're on Webtoon. They're free.
We'll have
Yeah,
that
they
in
are
the
very
description.
good.
We'll have a lot of stuff in the description this time. This is going to be a hotbed for some great links and some great recommendations.
Don't read Super Lovers. It's
Do
boring.
not. It is boring and alarming.
But more importantly, it's fucking boring. It's really boring. And, I say that facetiously, but also, god damn it, Colette, you didn't tell me how boring it was before you told me it was problematic. You told me it was problematic before it was boring.
Okay, listen, what stuck out to me was how problematic it was. I read it as a young, impressionable girl. And then I was like, what the actual fuck?
Ugh.
I have not ever once looked at my little brother and been like, huh?
You know me, when I see a kid half my age with sad eyes, I'm like, ooh, that's
Danger.
a romantic partner.
Danger!
Parody. Does anyone else have any
satire.
other points they want to hit
Satire.
on the genre or any other suggestions?
I mean, just I want everybody to take at least one thing away from this. Please stop fetishizing gay men. It's not healthy.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Get
Get some help.
They've had. Yeah, no, stop it. Get some help.
And
Thank you so
please
much
stop.
for letting me have a
And
Colette
please,
episode.
and please stop
I think the moral of the
equating
story. Yeah,
Please stop equating gay relationships to rape. That'd be a good takeaway.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's another fantastic takeaway.
The moral of the story is that gay stories should be told even if they are sexual, but at the same time, they should be told like straight stories for the most part, where assault isn't the inciting. Assault is not a meet cute.
How
put it
great?
that way.
How great would a gay Harry and Sally be?
Oh my god, because
Like-
they're friends for fucking 20 years. before
Yeah,
they get together.
exactly. That'd be so fucking cool. Someone make that, not me,
Go watch
but someone.
When Harry Met Sally, but they're gay. Just imagine.
When Harry met Harry.
We could write it.
God, get to the writer's room. This is it.
All right,
It's
guys. It
fucking-
sounds like we gotta go. We got a script idea, and we have synapses firing on every level. So let me play you out. Madeline, anything you want to promote?
Go watch Wandering Sun for some good trans stories that are handled well, and it's a straight romance, but it's on Hulu. You should watch My Love Story or Ore Monogatari for a very wholesome high school romance. It's super cute, and you like everyone, and everything's handled well. And if you read Killing Stalking, you should super watch it because it'll cleanse your palate immediately.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a hypest princess, right? That's your Twitter handle?
Hypest Princess, HYPEST, Princess, no space. I talk about animes and just a lot of bullshit, honestly.
And
They're
Colette,
just one-liners. I'm
you're-
like Rodney Dangerfield.
Colette memorably... Rodney Dangerfield, holy shit. No respect indeed. Bum gets no respect indeed. Yikes. Colette, you're just 5 eels, right? On Instagram?
I am exactly 5 eels on Insta.
Exactly. Sorry, not just. Exactly 5 eels.
I'm exactly 5 eels. I determined that is the exact amount of eels you would need to replicate me inside of a trench coat.
Anything you want to promote on the way out?
Oh man. Keep your eyes, ears, noses, phalanges peeled. I'm definitely going to put out like a short recommendation list of boys love and yaoi manga to read, and if this segment for whatever god awful reason is even mildly popular and people want like an occasional recommendation from me, then I will start churning out some, hey, go read this if you want a good gay ass story, or just a good story, because I read a lot.
My quick, you can find me at Caleb the Hairy. That's CalebTheHairy. I'm very hairy. That's why I have that name. My recommendation is if you want something to knock off to, I've been watching The Proud Family. Bruce W. Smith's coming out with a reboot of it on Disney Plus soon. So I've been watching it just to get real into it again. It's real good vibes. If you want something more adventurous, check out Under the Silver Lake. It's with Andrew Garfield and Topher Grace and Ricky Lindholm, and it's really cool and really trippy. With that, I think we're going to play out. Thank you so much, Colette, for bringing this and for getting me to read this. It was actually really... I am going to finish it, I think. I really do want to finish it. And if y'all are into this, I think we're going to have a lot more Colette episodes in the future. We're going to kind of have a rotating MC type thing where different people take over and do their specific type of media. Because we can't just talk about cartoons the whole time. Sometimes we got to get into some different stuff. So with that, thank you, and do not exclusively consume media that fetishizes gay men in a bad way.